How much time do we have? We win an election, and presidential administration is 4 years long in this country, and we think to ourselves, nice, things are going well, things are going really well, but we don't have that much time. We don't even have 4 years. We don't even have 3.5 years because the midterms cometh. Now, where is the big signature Trump bill? Joining me now, Sean Spicer, host of the Sean Spicer Show, who has been all over this very thing. Sean, the clock is ticking, isn't it, my friend?
It is ticking. And I think what one president taketh, one can take away. We saw that after the first Trump administration, Joe Biden undoing all of these great things, and then President Trump undoing all the Biden's things and getting things done on a front. And so my point is, look, we have a Republican Congress. We have a Republican Senate. We have President Trump. Lock it in. Get this done. On things like immigration, we have talked for decades about what we would do to fix all this stuff. Don't leave it open to another potential president undoing right now. We've seen what can happen. And part of the reason that the courts are looking at stopping some of his DOJ efforts is because of the law. So what we need to do is on things like immigration, codify this thing in law. Make sure that a future Democratic president can't undo things. And that's the point, Jesse, is that I don't want to look back in 2 years and say, hey, look at this House majority is 2 seats, 3 seats, depending on what day of the week it is. I don't want to look back and say, I wish we had done X, because right now we don't need them. We don't need to deal with them. We can do some of this through reconciliation. We've talked about visas, ICE agents, administration judges for, administrative judges. Let's not regret looking back in 18 months and saying, I wish we had locked in a few of those wins.
Okay, well, Sean, then what's the holdup? And I understand D.C. never moves as fast as you or I would like it to move, or anyone watching. I get that. We don't live in a system with a king where he can just have things passed by decree. But what is the holdup, Sean? It has been a couple months now, and supposedly Mike Johnson's on board and John Thune's on board. What's the holdup?
Well, so there's two issues. There's the big, beautiful bill that we keep talking about, and then there's locking in some other wins. And the problem is that, there is an element of look, when you talk about locking in all these tax cuts from 2017 that are going to expire, adding no tax on tips, adding no tax on Social Security, energy, border, immigration, there is an element of time that takes and what I mean by that is, in order to, quote, pay for the tax cuts through this process that we call reconciliation, you have to have certain offsets. And so that means that they tell other committees, go find these savings, lock in some of the things that DOJ has done and others. So, somebody came to you and said, hey, I need you to save, $20 billion. Maybe you could do it in a couple days or a couple weeks, but you're asking a bunch of committees to go find stuff in their jurisdiction. I will give them this. It's moving faster than I actually thought. But it's also beyond this, Jesse. We're talking about the reconciliation bill, but there's also other stuff that doesn't fit in the reconciliation. It's a very wonky thing, this whole reconciliation bill, about what's allowed in and what's allowed out, because it only takes 50 votes in the Senate. So I'm actually talking also going beyond this and saying there's stuff that can't fit in the reconciliation bill because of the nature of the parliamentary nature of what this is, which is all inside the baseball crap. But the reality is that if we don't lock in some of this immigration reform that we've been talking about, then we're in the future going to have to be negotiating with Democrats about how many dreamers do we give citizenship to, and how many people do we allow to stay in this country that came in illegally. We need to lock in everything before any potential loss of a majority.
Dreamers, barf. All right, so, Sean, let's assume, I think historically, politically, we can assume this safely, that this is really a one shot. Really, presidents get about one. Joe Biden got the IRA. Barack Obama got Obamacare. This is going to be a one shot. Is this enough to move the Trump agenda forward for 4 years? Okay, so it's not.
No. Okay, will it be signature? Sure, this is massive. But I also think that that's sort of like, an athlete saying, I got one home run. Now am I done for the season? I think the way that President Trump is going, you said this right at the forefront of this, time is ticking. Let's do it. Let's just get as much done as possible. So will this big, beautiful bill be awesome? Yeah, I'm excited about it. But it's like you cannot, then the clock keeps going. And it's not just 4 years. I mean, look, when you have a razor thin majority, and I don't mean to be, doomsday here, but who knows? Somebody could, resign for a variety of health or personal reasons, whatever. I don't want to put it to chance. Get something else queued up on immigration so that we're ready to go. Because, as I said, because of this parliamentary gobbledygook, there's only so much that you can actually do legislatively in that bill. So if you want visa reform, if you want to talk about the immigration courts and what the reform is, or how many people we let, or getting back to a merit-based system, then we need to do that legislatively outside of reconciliation.
Sean, I'm going to play you this clip from Joe Walsh because it really begs an important question about the midterms. Here he was.
I couldn't help but notice your head nodding there throughout that. I'm just going to let you address those scenarios from the $250 bill to Mount Rushmore to, a third Trump term.
It's too easy to have fun with this. But, Michael, this is scary. Trump's what, 78, 79 years old? I have no doubt that if Trump could, he would try to run again. I think, Michael, the biggest failure of all of us during this Trump era has been the failure of imagination. Mm-hmm. We have not imagined how bad and how low he'd go. He tried to overthrow an American election 4 years ago. I have no doubt that he could try to stop the midterm elections. If he's physically able, he may try to run again in 28. This is really scary.
Okay, Sean, I look at the Democrat Party's approval numbers, and they're amazingly bad. Yeah, I know. Look at these freaks. Their approval numbers are in the toilet. Trump just put out something this morning. His are at 57%. It's very, very freaking good for a modern-day president. Yeah. So explain to me, like I'm a moron, why I should be worried about the midterms at all.
Well, first of all, the idea that Joe Walsh, the former congressman from Illinois, who was basically kicked out of the Republican Party, and the Democrats and the left called him, I forgot if his sin was racism or just nuttiness. Now he's welcomed back in because he hates Trump. It just tells you everything you need to know about the Democratic Party. And then, by the way, at least he's on television talking, because most of these Democrats are doing TikTok dances as their form of opposition. But the reason I care is because when you have a thin majority, like I said, today it's 1 seat or 2 seats. We'll have 2 special elections in Florida in the next couple of weeks. That'll get us back to 4. Then Elise Stefanik steps down. That'll get us back down to 3. Then there'll be her special. When anything's that close, there's a margin for error. So that's why I care. I'm a nervous guy, Jesse. I don't have the thick skin that you have. I get nervous. Until you can give me a 20-seat majority or a 50-seat majority, I get nervous. And what I don't want is to wake up and say, well, I wish we had done X. And I saw the reason that I'm nervous is that last time when Trump was in office, he lost the House majority. And what did they do? Impeachment, 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 hearing after hearing after hearing. They're not looking to work with him. They're not looking to get an agenda passed. They're looking to wreak havoc. And my point is that, and the other thing is, just bottom line is that if you actually care about the midterms, then put points on the board, get things done for the American people, cut their taxes, secure the border, make us energy independent, because people will reward the politicians that are on the right side of issues. So my point is, get stuff done, put points on the board, solve America's problems, get reelected. But until and when that happens and we can see them, I get nervous and say, why would you put off? It's like my mom always used to tell me, why put off today, tomorrow, what you can do today? And so I'm like, guys, the more you do on the agenda, the more likely you are to get reelected, because the American people will reward you.
Sean, what's the Naval Academy Board of Visitors, and why in the world would they welcome somebody like you?
Yeah. God, you must be watching local news. So the Naval Academy Board is like any other board of directors, or every college has one, and so the president, the House Speaker, and a couple other people can appoint members to the Board of Visitors to the Naval Academy. I served on this during Trump's first term, and then Joe Biden fired myself, Ronnie Jackson, and everybody for the first time in history. And I sued the case called Spicer v. Biden. And the court affirmed that the president has the absolute authority to fire anyone he wants. So what President Trump did when he got back in office, he fired them all. And he was kind enough and honored me by reappointing me to the Naval Academy board on Friday night, along with Ronnie Jackson, one of his longtime aides, Walt Nalta, and a badass Navy SEAL named Derek Van Orden, who represents Wisconsin in the House of Representatives. So I figured a Marine like you would know, but you never cease to amaze me, you guys. You know, you just sort of say, where am I going? Who do I shoot at?
Derek is good people. Sean, more importantly, I have never actually set foot on the hallowed grounds of Annapolis. Most definitely, I could never have gotten into that place.
Now,
and not that I have any interest. Not that I have any interest in seeing any of you sailors, but there are some young aspiring Marines on that campus. Can you hook me up with some tickets or something? Can I go to something over there?
I think we'll make room for you. I think we can do that. They do allow the option for those kids to go Marine.
Sean, congratulations. Oh, before I let you go real quick, did Joe Biden screw up with his tyrannical control of things like the Kennedy Center?
Well, that's why I mentioned this. This is so funny that when I filed the lawsuit, the media kept saying, you lost. And I said, did I? Because the whole goal, my term was over in 49 days when he fired me and Ronnie Jackson and H.R. McMaster from the West Point board. The goal was we made them go to court. And then so when President Trump fired everybody on all these commissions, including the Kennedy Center, all these guys said we can't fight back because of Spicer v. Biden. It gave President Trump the authority. Not that he probably would have cared anyway, but at least he had the court authority to fire everybody. So it's pretty cool to be a small part of history.
That's freaking cool. Spicer versus Biden. Sean, my brother, appreciate you. See you soon. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.